Hey guys, welcome to M.A.A.D Radio, where it's raw, it's real, it's mad. I'm your host, Monica Ruacama, and today I have the young adult pastor from Light Mission Vehicle, Jordan Perkins.
Hello, how's it going?
Thank you. Hi, Jordan. I appreciate you coming, but I would like you to open us up with a prayer before we start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Father God, I pray that you would just move on this time together, Father. Lord, for those that are listening in, Father, I pray that you would just impact them right now, God. That even as they're listening in their cars, Father, in their beds, Lord, just whatever they're doing at this moment, that you would just reveal yourself to them, that you would make yourself evident. God, that you would show them that you love them, that you have a calling for their life, that you are passionate about them, Father, that you have plans to succeed them, Father, to do amazing and abundant things in their life, Lord. So I pray even as we're here this morning, God, that you would just move in this time, God. And in Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. So Jordan, I want to say thank you again. I'm just always so grateful. I don't know how to tell people, just thank you. But are you born and raised here from Santa Fe?
I am. Yep, born and raised. Went to Santa Fe High. I went to El Dorado. I've been all over the place.
Dang.
Yeah, it's been a crazy life.
Dang. So your family is from here too? Wow.
Yep, everybody's here.
So what has led you to be a worship pastor?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. So I wasn't a singer or I used to play drums on our worship team way back in the day. And one Christmas, my grandparents bought me a guitar. Yeah. And so I wasn't good at it, just kind of played around. And I ended up leaving. I went to Bible college in Redding, California. And while I was gone, our worship leader, he decided to step down and move on to other things. And so the door just kind of opened for me. And so they were like, well, we bought you that guitar a long time ago. And so I just showed up and it was terrible. It was not good. It took like 3 years to try to just even figure out like what things were, what I mean? So it's been a long time in the making, but so that's really how it is. It's not like a big old calling or passion but it is now, but it didn't start that way.
Dang, okay, because I was going to ask, like, what led you first? Like, was it your faith or music that first became your first passion?
Totally. I would say it was music for sure before it was faith. I always played on the worship team and it was good, but my dad is a drummer. And so drumming was just kind of the norm when I was growing up. We just always did it. And then, around high school was where I kind of just started like, this is a little bit deeper than just playing drums, And so then that just led to a whole new thing and a whole figuring out identity and who you want to be as a person. And, the life I was living was not very faith-filled, at all. And so, it took a long time, but eventually, it became because of faith.
Wow. Dang. I did not know you play the drums because I do research for all my guests to kind of do tailored questions to them and their journey and stuff. So have you ever played the drums at the Light Mission?
Yeah, totally. I don't do it very often. We have this drummer and I've built him up. He's been with me for probably 8 years and he is really good. Wow. And so I don't have to play very often anymore, but on the occasional times that he's sick, I'm able to fill in, and it's good. Okay. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. It's fun.
How long have you been a worship pastor?
Next year is going to be 10 years that I've been with the Light.
Dang, bro, you're young.
You would think I'm 28. I'm old.
Bro, I'm 26. You're calling me old.
No, I'm getting gray hair. I'm old. Real old head.
Yeah, but since 18.
Yeah, yep. It came back at 18 and just went with it.
Yeah. What opened you to that at 18? Because that's young. Because I'm trying to start my son at 5, but
totally.
But even with that, I feel I know he's gonna have his journey and all that. But later on, but why at 18 did that?
So it was I started worship leading at 18, but it was probably, I wouldn't even say that I was really a Christian until probably 15. I was kind of a mess up, and didn't get good grades, didn't have a good time with my family. It just constantly, there was just friction always. I was a real troubled kid, in high school. And so from 7th grade to 10th grade, I made 5 teachers quit because they were just dude, I don't get paid enough to deal with this guy. And so I was just a mess. And it was probably around 10th grade when it just, I don't know, the Lord just kind of he really hit me. And it was just there's more to this life than just at that time. It was just I was just doing drugs, partying, smoking weed, doing everything that, I could just to kind of like fulfill something in myself. And it never worked. And so then finally I had a youth pastor at the time that just really opened up his life to me, his home, his family. I was so troubled like at my house that he opened up his home, and I stayed with him and his wife for like a year. Wow. And they just fed into me. They helped me with school. They helped me with, just trying to be a better person. And so I would say it really started there. And I was I was 17 years old. I applied to go to this college that was in Redding. It's like in California, the highest place that you can go in California. They accepted me, and I just was like 17, and I was like, all right, let's go. Yeah. And so I was one of the youngest people in like our class at that time. And like I said, when I came back, there was just an opportunity for me to start leading. And so I just kind of like jumped into it. And so I would say, it started about that time, like 15, 16, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
That is pretty wild. Because like I grew up like Catholic, and then, but there's one thing that I love about Christianity that now that I'm open to it, and I came like, wow, like it's how much you could not even sin, but how much that you thought you were going wrong, but that Jesus is still there and still like, I forgive you. Like you just gotta turn to me.
Totally.
So, and honestly, I love talking. Like that's like one thing about me now. I just love talking about him. Like it's just like, hey, God's good all the time, guys. Like,
it's so true.
But my younger self wouldn't have believed that. So the fact that you're opening up about your story and like kind of saying like, yeah, I was a messed up. You know what? I made teachers quit. I did all these things, and it definitely like who you are today. Definitely just it's like, oh, this is why. Yeah. This is why, and this is where. Were your family pretty based on religion? Or
Yeah. My grandpa is actually the pastor at the Light.
What?
And so, so I grew up, and that's almost like a bigger disappointment at that time, where it's like, dude, your grandpa's a pastor, and you're doing everything wrong, So there's always kind of been that stigma of like, you need to have it together. Yeah. And I didn't, but you're so right, where it's like, looking back on it now, it's like you in Christianity, and Jesus just really puts this in your life where it's like, I was messed up, but I could see where Jesus was with me the whole entire time, where it's like little things came into my life that changed my life forever, and so even though we're messed up, he's good.
Damn. Yeah. And it took me a long time to really have that realization. And I feel like for the longest time, even like a certain like this religion, like Christianity, I felt like I've met people who were always around the stigma, like of this is the religion, this is the Bible. Like you're always against it.
Totally.
And yesterday when I attended church, one of the pastors, he was like, I'm not doing the religion, I'm doing the connection. And that, oh my God, it was the words I needed. It was just literally. But before 15 and all that, did your younger self ever picture yourself as a worship pastor?
No, definitely not. I feel like at 15, like my eyes were just on, girls, the cool jobs, the cool cars. Like it wasn't anything that, I thought about Jesus at all at that time. Church was always like something that we attended, but it was never something that was like, this could be something for your life, something that you want to do. And it never even crossed my mind at that age.
Dang. So like, why did you choose youth adults?
So, there's multiple reasons for it. I think the one thing is just that Santa Fe has done such a bad job at like keeping the young people, present in this city, and it just seems like, there's youth groups everywhere. There's youth groups where it's like every church has a youth group, but then after you hit 18, it's kind of like, all right, just go to big church, right? Just go with the adults. And it's like, a lot of times younger people don't associate very well with the older generation. We have different taste. We have different mindsets on things. We have different, just cultural differences. And so for me, it was, there's nothing to do as a younger person. There's nothing to do in Santa Fe. There's nothing to do anything like that. And so for us, it was like, we'll go to the bars, because there's nothing else. We'll go to Meow Wolf, because that's the only cool thing in Santa Fe, And so my vision behind it was like, we need a place where younger people can get together. And even if they don't believe with what we believe, at least they can find community of people that care about them, people that aren't going to judge them, people that aren't just going to like throw a Bible in their face, and I feel like for the younger generation, that's really been how we were treated for a long time. Either step up to these rules or you're going to hell, and I just feel like the Lord has kind of given me like a very soft spot for our generation where it's like there's rules and there is stuff that he absolutely is going to keep us accountable for. But there's so much love and there's so much grace that he has that it's like, we got to draw people in first before you just try to like, your whole life needs to change. You know, there's a lot of change, but it happens at a slow pace. There's this verse in the Bible that says, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, you know, it goes into, it's his kindness that leads us to repentance, you know? And so I think that's the biggest thing, that Santa Fe is just not very fun for young adults, you know, for people 18 to 35, it's just kind of like figure it out. You know, yourself,
or move, like, figure it out somewhere on a book here, and then come back. So, how has it been like trying to break that type of stigma within the culture of Santa Fe and church? Because even a church being like, oh my gosh, like that's church, like it's not a nightclub, like no, it's church. Like, how would you? How has that been?
And I think that you're constantly going to run into problems, you know, because Jesus is one of those things where it's like, he can fit into a lot of perspectives that you have, you know? And so for the older generation, it's like the hymns, you know, the pews in church, you know, it's like, it was that's what they wanted. That's what they saw as church, you know? And for the younger generation, it's kind of, we want more of like an authentic moment, you know, we want more of like a sermon that's, you know, that's impacting me. Like, how do I be as a person? You know, how do I change as, you know, a younger person living in Santa Fe? And so I think that there's always going to be a little bit of friction between, you know, older and young. But, you know, I feel really blessed at our church because it feels like they are giving space for the younger generation to start like feeling like they have a place in our church, you know? And I think that that's important, where it's not just, if you don't fit into our rules, you can't come, you know, or you just keep your mouth shut. And instead it's like, all right, let's try this idea. Maybe you want the lights a little bit darker. Nobody else does, but we'll try it just to see if younger people like it. Or the music a little bit louder. Okay, let's give it a shot, you know. Sometimes it's trial and error, and sometimes it really is error, but sometimes it works really well.
Dang. So how long has Light Mission Viejo been established? Because I know the school and that setting is kind of newer to you guys, like within like the 10-year type, but how long has it been established?
So it used to be Capital Christian, and this is like 20 years ago almost. Oh, wow. And so then we moved to the building that we're in now. And so at that time we had a Christian school, and we changed it to Mission Viejo, and then we had a Mission Viejo school. And so I think it's been maybe like 7 or 8 years that Tieta and Katata then took over our building, the school side. Yeah. Wow. And so, but we've been around for probably 20 years for our building now, and then I don't even know, maybe 30 years before then there's somebody that just actually passed recently from our church, that she had been in attendance of our church since like the 70s. And so it's kind of wild. Our church has been established for a long time.
Dang, because you said like your grandfather was the pastor, so like how long has your family lineage been within the?
Just my grandpa. He was the first, the first in our family to take over. There were some pastors before him, but he's probably been in for, I think he's coming up on 30 years, somewhere close to there. And so it's been a while.
Wow, dang, that's so cool. I like seeing that, like, where it's like, sometimes you do meet those people that their generation, they're the first ones in their lineage to be like, I want to meet Jesus. I want to know what that is. And then there's people who've been like guided so much, and that they just took what they wanted at the time, or what they were open to.
Yeah, totally. Ours was not like that. My grandpa, like, he has a really amazing story, and I'll totally jack it up. But, you know, he's the first generation pastor. And so then his son is pastoring. And then I'm like, I guess I'm third generation now. But it started with my grandpa.
Yeah, that's cool. So, like, how has music helped you with your faith in a way?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. It's huge. You know, and I think that even just in the normal, like, just mindsets, you know, there was a lot of times where I was listening to just like Rage Against the Machine, you know, which I love that band. Yeah. But it's like, where it's like all of a sudden it's like I had a bad attitude, you know, or I'm listening to other things that just don't give out the right like message and mindset. But when I switched over, where it's like, I just want to listen to worship or like country every now and then, you know, it really shifted a lot, where it's like my world isn't so negative all the time, and there's not all of these like everybody's out to get me. It's like a lot of times I'm just like in my car, like, man, God, you are good. You know, like this is actually real. Like I'm having a great day. Lord, thanks, you know, or on the opposite where it's like, God, I'm having a terrible day, but hearing, you know, just like worship music, Elevation, Bethel, all of the stuff that they're putting out, you're just like, yeah, I can make it another day. You know, I can go through this one.
I like how you said that because, like, I definitely feel like music does help with, like, that faith a little bit.
Totally.
Because, like, I love that you mentioned that about, like, I would listen to a song and I have a bad mood all of a sudden. Because, like, I feel, like, for example, yesterday, I was like, I went to church. I feel so good. I feel so, like, rejuvenated. Like, I'm walking with the Lord.
Yeah.
And then, like, literally, like, 2 hours later, I'm like, what the fuck? What is with today? Like, so I was just like, I don't know. For me, like, I didn't know how to, like, keep up the momentum of that good spirit of, like, the trust in him and the faith. So going definitely to music and being like, oh, okay, I just needed that, like, the frequency, just the frequency, the words. And it's, how has it been, like, with the older music versus the newer secular new worship music? How has that been to transition it into mass or into congregation?
It's interesting, you know, the older generation love their how great thou art, you know, the old hymns, you know, that everyone's saying, but the newer generation, it's hard to keep up with how many good songs are coming out, you know? I mean, it's just, I feel like every single time that I open my phone, a new Christian song came out that's just like, let's try that one, let's do this one. And there's some songs that, like, the congregation has just accepted and been like, wow, this is awesome. And then there's some where like, yeah, let's skip this one, you know? So it's a mixture, you know. Something that we try to do in our church is it's not about pleasing everybody, but it's about making church comfortable for everybody and trying to make like church a place where everybody feels that they have connection to. And so just something even that we did this Sunday was we sang a pretty older song. It's like 20 years old now, you know, so that some of those people are like, okay, like I remember this. And then we also sang a song that came out like 3 months ago, you know, so it's about trying to meet everybody, you know, let everybody have an opportunity to worship. Maybe, I mean, there's new songs, but there's still old songs that are like, are just, they're foundations, you know. There's some old songs that I'm still like, dude, this song is 40 years old, but like, God, you're good, you know? So it's a nice mix. It's a median. So
I know, like, that you are a musician also for them, like, and you said you sing, right? Because I obviously hear you sometimes, How has it been to, like, keep that in balance with also preaching the word?
It's tough. It totally is tough. I think that there is something, though, where it's like, if you just love Jesus and, like, you really love him, like, you'll have something to say. You know, there's a place in the Bible where he just says, like, open your mouth and the Holy Spirit will speak through you. So it's like, sometimes it's hard to, like, and I've gotten in trouble for it a couple times where it's like, all right, you're just here to, like, worship this morning. You're not here to preach, you know? And so it's like finding that nice middle ground of, like, all right, maybe a quick little word here and then it's all music, or, you know, maybe this is an opportunity where we just, like, go at it, you know? So you got to find the balance for sure.
Dang. So, like, with your journey and now, have you always been, like, an extrovert or, like, an introvert?
Yeah, I think it differs on the day. You know, I think that, like, I'll wake up and just, like, leave me alone. You know, like, I'm going to just go in my office and not do anything, you know? And then there's days where I'm like, I just need to be around people, you know? And so I think the day, what's going on in that season, I don't know if I've ever met anybody that's just, like, a true extrovert where it's like, I can talk to everybody. Well, that's not true. I have. I definitely have. But for me, it's not. It's not. It's come and go for sure.
Dang. So, like, have you ever had, like, struggles with your doubt?
Of course, yeah.
Doubt. Oh, I said ADHD. Have you ever had struggles with your faith?
Yeah, for sure. You know, something that so the school that I went to, like, we really believe in, like, supernatural. You know, we believe that God is still healing people. We believe that God is still moving, that he's still speaking. And so with that comes just I'll give you an example. There's been times where I have, this is just a story. My dad had a massive heart attack, and this was a year before I left to Bethel. So it was kind of like this really, you know, hard moment where I'm like, I'm leaving my dad when he's at his worst, you know, and so it was tough. But one day I was taking a shower and I felt the Lord speak to me and he was like, go over to your dad's house and pray for him. And I was like, all right, here we go. The Lord will speak to you in your showers. That's like the biggest part. Yeah. But so I went over to him, and my dad, he was like really handicapped at that time, and he couldn't lift his arms like past his shoulder length. And so I went up to him, and I'm just like, can I pray with you? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so I prayed, and before I prayed, I was like, hey, lift your arm as high as it goes. And he, couldn't do it. And so then we prayed, and then just a quick, simple, easy prayer. I'm like, all right, try it again. His hands went all the way to the ceiling, like instantly healed. And it was just like, we both broke down crying together, just like, wow, God is so good. And then there's been times like for me, I was struggling with really bad eyesight when I was younger. And so still believe like God is good and like that he heals, and then people will pray over me. No, nothing happened. You're like, well, what is it? You know, like, is it, what's going on? But I wouldn't say that I've ever questioned that God is real, because it's like, I feel like you have to have more faith to believe that God isn't real than to believe that he is. I mean, just there's so much that proves that he's real and that he's good and that, he creates all this stuff. But more so it's been like, God, like, am I good enough? Are you going to heal with me? What is it? Something with me? Am I wrong? That's been more so where like my faith has been tested of like, what is it, God? Am I not worthy enough? And of course it's all lies, So that I would say it's more so that.
Dang. Do you still feel like you have those moments now that you are like to be seen of like someone that speaks of it?
Yeah, I think that like you'll always have like that little whisper, of just like, are you good enough? Like, did you pray enough today? Did you read your word? When's the last time that you like reached out to somebody and prayed for them? And so I think there always is that, but something that I'm just really big in is identity. And it's like, the Bible talks about how when you believe in Jesus, you're a new creation, like that you're actually like a new creature. And it talks about how you are sonship and that you're like heirs of Christ. And so for me, one of my big things is just like, shut up, like you're good. The Lord says you're good. There's a scripture in Romans 4 where it talks about that he sees you as perfect. He sees you as holy. And in Hebrews, it talks about that of like, God sees you as holy. And so it wasn't like that immediately. No, but it's like now like, all right, God sees me as like, I can do this, I'm good. He's got my back. I'm, even if I'm not prayed up enough, it's like, let's do it,
just like that jumping or like, let's just go for whatever I have in mind or anything.
Totally.
How has it been to distinguish the voice of like, oh, actually I'm getting a message. Like this is a calling right now. This like the Ghost is telling me like, do this, like pray for your father. Yeah. How has that been to be like, to one, build that ability, but like also tune in that, oh, this is the Holy Ghost. This is not just me. Yeah.
Yeah. So they always say that there's three voices. There's the Holy Spirit, there's us, and then there's the enemy. And so it's like, which one is it that's speaking to you? And so for me, the way that I think about it is it's a muscle, and the more that you work it out, the more that you're going to understand what it is, the more it's going to strengthen and all of that. So there's moments where And like, I'm not perfect in any means whatsoever. And so there's been moments where I'm like, I think the Lord is saying this, and absolutely wasn't, and you're like, all right, like we messed up, but let's try it again. Yeah. But something that happened like just this last Wednesday was I was preaching, and, we were talking about love, all Valentine's Day stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But so we were talking about love, and at the end of our service, I just felt like the Lord was telling me that there was somebody in the congregation that has been looking for love in all the wrong places. And so I like specifically called it out. Like, I feel like there's somebody that like gave up their body to somebody that said they loved them, and then they just didn't. And so after I said that, there was like 5 or 6 girls that came up just like weeping. And it was just like, the Lord just like moved really powerfully. And so that one, I think in that moment, it's kind of just like this has to be God, this has to be him. And so it was a really beautiful moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that because sometimes, the 3 voices, and I'm like, all right, God, if this is you,
right?
I hear you, but I need another sign on top of it. Totally. I just need to that extra confirmation, but I need to see it, not hear it.
Totally.
It's like asking for those signs, like, hey, show me this, show me that, send me this, do anything. But then I'm like, okay, I haven't got it, so maybe I should just go with the flow and let's see if it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible talks about how blessed are those who believe even though they haven't seen, and so sometimes it's like the Lord will ask me to do something that I'm just like, that's weird, go pray. Like we were in Albertsons this was a couple years ago, and there was this like wild looking biker dude. I mean, he had tattoos going up his neck, his face, and he was like wearing a big old biker jacket. He was like 6'5". He was huge. And I felt the Lord like, go and pray for him. And so I walked up, behind him, I was like, Lord, like, this is not from you. I'm going to get jumped, you know, like this isn't going to work. And we walked up to him and I was just like, hey dude, like, I feel like the Lord is asking me to pray for you. And he just broke down crying, you know, this big old burly dude in the middle of Albertsons, and he's just weeping. And it's like that they say it this way, that faith is spelled R-I-S-K. And so it's like, if you're not taking risks, if you're not doing things that makes you uncomfortable, then you're not really having faith. You know, the Lord's going to ask you to do stuff that you're like, not me, dude. Like, I'm not ready for this one, but he will, and he'll walk you through it. And then it's like, all right, like, yeah, you're with me. All right.
Dang. Have you ever had like, because like, I know, damn, I love that, because like sometimes like the faith rate, like the being faith based and like having just someone random like, hey, guess what? God, here's the word. Here's this. Have you ever had an experience where someone's denied you?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Wow. It's not easy being a Christian. We've prayed for people who are just like, I want nothing to do with your Jesus. You know, you're like, all right, bro, like, it's okay. Yeah. You know, it happens all the time. You know, Christianity, unfortunately, has made such a bad name for itself, you know, where people that are atheist or that are in other religions just think of Christians as like these bigoted, mean people that just judge. And it's like, yeah, we just haven't done a good job of showing the lost that like Jesus is good, you know. And when I read the Bible, I see Jesus going after the broken, you know, going after the women that were caught in adultery, or you know, one of his biggest like demeanors that people told him or said about him was that he's a friend of sinners, you know. And when you look at Christianity, at least in the past, it doesn't feel like Christians are friends of sinners. You're right. It feels like Christians are enemies of sinners, and that was never Jesus's goal. And so there's definitely people that have just been like, F you, I don't want anything to do with you, Jesus, anything. And you're just like, okay, you know, I get it. But I feel like just opening that door, even if you don't think, like, even if you don't see it, like the Lord doing something, I think just planting that seed and the Lord will get them somewhere else. You know, I really believe it.
And honestly, that is why, thank you so much. I'm like, that is why this episode is so important to me, because even like when I mentioned like, I don't know if you guys want something with me, but it's because, I come from adultery. I come from sinning on a regular. And then I always ask for forgiveness, whether it was unintentional or intentional. That was just like, well, am I going against the word? Why is there guilt? Why is there shame? But it's also like, I am trying to put the word where you don't see it, but also people who thought like at one point that we weren't worthy. Yeah. That, it's gonna get me emotional. Like,
that's cool.
It's just, it's not for you. Like, and that you're gonna constantly be an outcaster and like outcasted and just forsaken for just what, like, it's not, there's no love. But the moment that I really felt saved was in moments that you wouldn't think you would find him, or not even find him, where he'd find you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, if only, because I honestly, some of my background is like OnlyFans, a stripper, stuff where it's like, you would not, like, even sometimes like me opening it up about that, and like even like right now I'm like, don't even say that. I'm like, one, his wife is here, two, you're a pastor. I'm like, so yeah, it's like definitely like, no, Monica, that's your truth. Yeah, sit in that, like sit in it and speak on it. And because I want other dancers, I want people who are constantly like feel like they have to lose themselves to be expressive of what they are. Yeah. And I used to drink frequently. I used to smoke like every single day, like not even just once. I was like, all right, wake up and bake. Yeah. I gotta sleep to go to sleep. Like, and it's definitely like now I'm feeling the cleansing of, all right, like let go of some things. Let go of what is not serving you, where you keep on finding these not that your values are not matching me no more. Yeah. And it's definitely like where I'm also like, you know, I'm a creative. Like, there's something that gives it a spark, and I don't know why. Like, it's like, nah, just keep doing it, and I'll let you know when it's time, when it's done, when you're done there. Yeah. So I definitely, oh man, it's definitely like a process and a journey. But
no, it is, and you need to stay true to it. I mean, in one of the books of the Bible, it's Revelations. The Lord talks about how we defeat the enemy, number one, by the blood of the Lamb, so by what Jesus did, but number two, by our testimony.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you shouldn't hide what you were. You shouldn't have to hide the struggles that you went through, the things that you went through, because I honestly believe that like that's where the church should be. Yeah. The church should be going after the people that it's just like, would like on a typical Sunday, these people don't look like they would belong in our church, but I think that that's exactly where the church should be. I mean, just Jesus hanging out with prostitutes. I mean, it's not a good look for most people, right? But it's like, that's where he was.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's just, church has done this thing where we have gotten so holy that we have separated from the broken and separated from the lost. And that was never Jesus's goal.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus's goal, and even in the Bible, tax collectors were considered some of the worst people like in society. They were like dogs to them. They were awful. They would rip off their own people. So people just hated him. And Jesus goes and gets tax collectors to be his disciples and goes after the people that nobody else wants. And so I don't think that you should hide from what you, what you were, even try to, mask it. I think that the Lord will take you and all the stuff that you've been through and use that to help other people that have been going through that or are going through that. It's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, thank you. Because definitely like versus like where you do share that piece of like one of another, or even because sometimes I do see people in church and I'm like, wow, I used to party with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, though, we're in the same building and we're not drunk. Like, we're not doing something
it's different.
Yes.
It's so different. Somebody came to young adults just the other day that I used to party with, and I was just like, bro, like, we are so different than what we used to be. And, I love Jesus. I love Jesus because he talks about that, like, people are going to know who you are by the way that you love, by the way that you love people. And so for me, it's like, yeah, I'm waiting for the day that I run into one of those old teachers that I made quit, and I'm just like, Jesus is good and I'm so sorry, it's like, it's awkward.
Please forgive me. I know he's forgiven me, but I need to hear it from you.
Yeah, it's been awful, but I'm waiting for that day, and so, yeah, don't hide from it. Don't hide from it at all. I mean, that's where the church should be, in my opinion.
Yeah. Aw. I'm like, it's really it's a whole process, and definitely like that's why you see me like I go to the altar. I'm like, if I was living the way I was proudly standing, then I'm gonna come down at the altar and bring it and give it all.
That's good.
And so it's definitely like a process where it's like, even like at that moment too, like all the altar's open, and I was just like, no, let me sit in the back, like let me stay quiet. And then it's like, nah, go freaking be seen.
Yeah.
And I'm an ugly crier, so thank God you guys have the thing. So I'm like, and then I'm like, I see like a drool booger, and I'm like,
I'm not any better, I swear. But those are like the most beautiful moments. I mean, some of the things that just like my sister was a big drug addict. I mean, she was strung out on fentanyl for like 5 years. I mean, it was just awful. She's been in and out of prison since she was 21, and just, it was ugly, and it was hard seeing her go through it. And it's like, as even somebody who loves Jesus, it's like, you can't make people change, it's like, you got to choose it for yourself. And so she did this whole process. She went to prison, and then she came out, went to this rehab, and it was like, Jesus just wrecked her, and like just got back with her, and well, she got back with Jesus. And it was just like those moments of seeing people drop what they were doing and drop the addictions and the sins and like the stuff that just hold us back, and they just give it to God. It is one of the most beautiful things. It's like, those are the moments I live for. Like music is amazing and worship is great, but to see people get healed under Jesus, or people that are just like, God, like I'm at my wit's end and I'm yours now, do what you want. Those are the moments. Like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's nothing else. It really isn't. This job doesn't pay well. I'll tell you what, like it's not for like, the reputation hasn't been good. I mean, it's just to see Jesus change people, and to see Jesus change our generation. And just even in our generation, it's crazy right now that Gen Z was supposed to be like the most godly. They came out with all these statistics of how Gen Z is going to be the most godless generation in our history. And they just came out with studies recently that Gen Z is now one of the biggest generation to accept Jesus and to change their life. And so much so that in the last year, Bible sales are up like 22%, where it's just like people are going after it, you know? And I think that our generation has seen the fake Christians so much that it's like, we're looking for something real and we're looking for something authentic. And, you know, the old just like angry way of doing church, you know, just it's not appealing to us anymore. But it's after like, who is Jesus? Who is this guy? And like, why does he love me? And why can't why do I feel it? You know, we had this kid that came, or young adult that came just this last Wednesday, and he doesn't believe what we believe in. He doesn't believe in Jesus yet. We always invite people to our house after just to like hang out and like, you know, build community. And he was in there vaping and cussing. I'm like, that's cool, bro. I'm glad that you're with us, you know? But I was talking to him and I was just like, dude, is somebody like, what did you feel about tonight? He's like, dude, I felt Jesus, you know, I felt Jesus. And it's like, that's it, you know, like for just our generation, just to even be willing to go into a service was like, I don't believe in this, but I'm going to figure it out. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah. You're like, the fact that he didn't believe, but the fact that he's in the room.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
That's all you really need. Because sometimes it's not, sometimes it could be like the word and like what they're telling you, but sometimes it's really walking in and being like, oh, dang, like Santa Fe's small. So to walk into like a room and just be like, oh, dang, I know that person. Like, oh, hi. Oh, wow. Like God brought us both in here.
Totally.
It's like a whole nother acceptance and awareness. Yeah. And so like, because I used to grow up with Catholic, but also like got into heavy spirituality. Okay. So like manifestation, crystals. I still have my crystal sitting there, but I haven't touched one. I don't really be like, okay, this is a clear quartz, like to cleanse energy and all that. And it's like a whole different thing where I'm like, nah, I just need the word. Jesus Christ, I need you. I just, whatever it is, clear my energy, please, like, or like something. But
no, totally. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because the Lord, you know, he talks about stuff like even constellations are like all in the Bible, you know, but what it is the enemy manipulates it into basically take out Jesus, but keep the rest, you know? And so then you get like horoscopes and astrology, you know, it's very like, it's not far-fetched from the Bible. The Bible talks about how the Lord sets the sun and has the stars and the moons as like or I forgot the exact word that it uses. It's something like as to basically show off his creation, you know? And so, but what the world does is they take Jesus out of it, where it's like, instead of being cleansed, we need sage, you know, to like cleanse the room. Or like, instead of Jesus telling me who I am and my identity, I need my astrology to tell me what I am, you know? And it's like, just, they take out Jesus, but they leave the rest, you know? And so there is a place where we're not far off. I mean, I would say that I'm a very spiritual person, but my spirituality comes through Jesus, you know? And so we're looking for the same thing, just we're going on different roads. You know, that's all it is.
Yeah. I kind of like that, as you mentioned, like your identity, because I'm like, I'm a Scorpio, I'm meant to be mean. I'm meant to be mysterious, but then it's also like, oh, like, I don't know if it's just like, I've already like based that so much in my beliefs that I'm just like, oh, that's just who I am. But now it's like, oh, but I got Jesus along with me. Like, we both Scorpio. Like, we're going to both fight. But at the end of the day, it might not even be that way. It's just like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, I'm constantly never alone, whether I have a crystal or whether I used to burn a candle and, like, ask for a prayer. And, like, it'd be, like, it just anything, like the spirituality, the horoscopes. And, like, oh, I think I know him because he's a Leo and I'm going to do this. And, like, he knows to behave like that. But, wow, I do see, like, the connection, because with the spirituality, like my faith has been like God is in everything. So like you were saying, they're the horoscopes, the animals, like, because I did see it like how an eagle and like all these other animals that represent certain things in the Bible, and it's just like, oh, but the eagle is also connection, because it's how we see God in other even religions and cultures, like natives, Native Americans see like other ways. Yeah. So it's definitely like been like a study that I've been like just collecting, and I'm like, oh, okay, God is and they're all there too. Like, we're not different. Like, regardless if we're different color skin, we've grown up different. We're on different sides of the world. Like, Oh, okay. That's God. That's God.
Yeah. And I think that it's beautiful. Even when you take it back to the Bible, you had Gentiles and you had the Jews. And it's like at the time, Gentiles, and you even heard about it on Sunday a little bit, where it's like Gentiles were like the worst of the worst, like no, the Jews didn't want anything to do with it, but Jesus has a way of bringing everybody together, where it's like, I don't care what your background is, ethnicity, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we're all in Jesus. And I think that that's why it talks about like the new creation, where it's like, well, no matter what I am, I don't even know what I am, honestly, but it's like, I know that I'm with Jesus and I know that they're with Jesus. And all of a sudden it's like we have a way to connect together through Jesus, you know?
Dang. Have you I know like a lot of things like anxiety, worry and stuff like that could be like the enemy or even our own like limitations and stuff that we're trying to break from. Did you ever have like anxiety, like performing and all that? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I'm like, because you're like, that's a whole nother thing. Like, that's your creativity. Like, oh, dang, like art and being a like drummer and also a guitarist. But like,
yeah. I mean, like I said, when I started, it was awful. I mean, and I knew that it was awful, but it was just like, here we are, And so there was totally anxiety of just like, dude, you're hitting wrong notes. It sounds terrible. You don't even know what you're doing up here. So yeah, there was totally anxiety for a long time. So much so that like I got into this weird pattern of when I would play, I would completely close my eyes where it's just like, nobody else is in here except me, and I'm just like, honestly, sometimes I still feel like I have to break that. But, I think that no matter who you are, you're still going to deal with anxiety. You're still going to deal with, depression and anxious thoughts and all of this stuff. It's just, that's kind of human nature, that stuff just happens, but now we have a way out of it or a way to overcome it more so.
Dang. Do you feel like you've had more anxiety, like trying to worship versus perform?
I would say that all of my anxiety was perform, where it's like when it's worship, when it's just like authentic worship. We used to do these worship nights like in our house, when I was living in California, and it was like we didn't have microphones. We didn't have all of this stuff. There was no lights. It was like you just turn off the lights, throw on a couple like lamps or something, and you would just play. And it was like there was no performance. There was no anxiety. But once you start getting into like production and going into actual like performing, then it's like I felt like all of the anxiety was there, where it's like I have to be excellent in this and excellent in that, and my lights have to be looking good, and we have to sound right and be on tempo, and it's like that's all the anxiety. But when it's just me and Jesus, it's like there's nothing, it's like I'm not worried about anything else. I'm not thinking about anything else. It's just like, it's just peace, So I would say it all comes from like the performance side and not the worship side.
Wow. How has it been to like because I see in the worship team, they're all young adults.
Yeah.
How has that been to like have a young adult like worship team?
It's cool. Well, I mean, they always say like young adults are great, but we cause all the drama, right? Like older people, they get their stuff done. They know what they're doing. No drama. It's like younger people, you're having to work with like, does this person like this person? Why are you guys arguing? Why are you it's like constant, but it's beautiful at the same time because we're trying to just create something of like, just the next generation that's leading even the older congregation into worship, which is awesome. And when we started, I mean, I was the youngest person on our team when we started. Yeah. And so, I mean, at 18 years old, there was people on the team that were in their 50s, 60s, there was a lot of older people, but somehow, and I don't feel like I've even tried to make the worship team young. It's just kind of the Lord has opened doors where people just came on. Like here's a beautiful example is we used to do this thing where after our services on Wednesday, we would go to Chick-fil-A. Okay. And like you would think it's like
before?
Right after. We would finish our service, go to Chick-fil-A. They don't like us anymore, so we don't do that anymore. But at the time, there was this young kid, and he was like 16, and he's working at Chick-fil-A, and Tristan and I would go up to him, and he'd just be like, bro, bring us a Red Bull. Bring me a Red Bull after, next time you guys come. Yeah. And so we connected with this kid, and he now is the bassist on our worship team, just cool. Some random kid that we saw at Chick-fil-A. And it's like, the Lord has just opened up doors where people are just like, man, I want to be in that, and I didn't even know this kid could play, and all of a sudden he's just out here like one of like the most committed people in our church. So he's just doing something. It's cool.
Damn, that's so cool because like I also really like that you mentioned before about like the generation. So like seeing that, like it's definitely like that is a movement for the church itself.
Totally.
And so like, wow, I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm excited because I'm like, oh, have you guys thought about this? Have you guys thought about that?
Right.
But it's also like, wow, where can you get more people? Like, where can you get more youth adults? Like, how can you reach them more? And
totally.
So that's really, wow, because like the generation that you did mention, like the Generation Z, like there's so much that's going on. Like where even Justin Bieber's doing more worship.
Yeah.
And it's like constant, like, I used to kiss that poster of him on the wall. So now I'm like, oh, we talking about Jesus now. You're my soulmate.
Totally. You have people like Jelly Roll that's like totally into it now.
Yes.
Like, you know, it's always like for me, I try to be a little more cautious when you have like the Kanyes, you know, that are like, I'm totally into Jesus and then start talking about like some wild stuff, you know, but it's like there's an opportunity for everybody to jump into it. And that's what's beautiful, you know, and it's true. You see this younger generation just like going for it, you know, and I think that the best thing about Santa Fe is that there's nothing else for us, you know, there's nothing else. And so it's like, these younger people are like catching, you know, they're getting on fire for God. And it's like, this is what I'm sold out for, you know? And so we're creating just this culture of young people who love the Lord and who just aren't mean, you know, they're just nice people, you know? And it's just been, it's been really beautiful to see like how on fire people are, you know? I mean, just on Wednesday, we're baptizing like 7 brand new people, you know, and it's just like, it's going to be cool, you know? And so he's doing something and it's just like, it's catching fire and that's what's beautiful.
And then they're all youth, like they're youth, right?
Young adults. So it's like 18 to 35.
Okay, nice. Cause like, and then the day they go to work, they go to school. It's just like, wow. Like, it's just like how the little bit that they're doing is going to go and make an impact.
Exactly.
And you never know what one little thing that you could do or say or just like, or even a prayer, like when that happens, like how much it could impact someone else.
Totally.
And like, for me, Christianity, I'm the first lineage and being like baptized again. And so like I was actually in Albuquerque and like, that's where I was kind of getting a little bit more of the word. And it was with this team where they're like kind of culture and hip hop. They're more cool. And with that, I was just like, okay, I feel him, but I'm not ready yet. I'm how you, like, you're not meeting me there yet. And then, but definitely like more coming into Santa Fe and like, just like hearing the word. And I was like, oh, okay, like, why do I keep coming to church if I'm not there yet?
Yeah.
And then it was just constant like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to be baptized. I'm ready to like kind of feel a newness of who I am and what I believe in. And so it's definitely like, yes, and my family, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I got baptized, and they're like, what the hell? And then and then why? I find out like another cousin who's younger than me gets baptized, and I'm like, Lord, just thank you, because another day I might not be around my family, might not be around other youth, like other young adults, but I definitely do see Him working through adults and the fire and the passion.
Absolutely, and you know, my thing is like, we need to celebrate small beginnings, you know, and that's the problem. Like, it just feels like, you know, once you accept Christ, you need to be perfect, you know, and you need to let go of all of your stuff. And for me, it's like, it's the little victories, you know, it's this guy just showed up to church today, you know, and that's a victory in its own. Like, he's still doing all of his stuff. He's still, you know, doesn't look like a Christian, but it's like, he just showed up. And then it's, man, he just let me pray for him today, you know, and it's like all of a sudden, kind of like you, where it's like, I'm not there 100%, but the Lord will start like moving you deeper and deeper into it. You know, it's beautiful. It really is. I'm not afraid to have a church filled with people that don't look like they should be there. You know, that's kind of my goal, if I'm honest, of like, I want people to walk in and be like, is this a church? You know, there's this preacher that talks about how during worship, you should have one hand on your wallet and one hand in the air, you know, like worshiping, because it's like the whole church should be filled with people that don't look like Jesus, you know, but that's the whole point of church. It's like, none of us are ready. Like, none of us are worthy. And I think that that's where we've missed the mark, you know, of like thinking that I'm good enough, but you're not, you know, and it's like, no, like none of us are, but He has called all of us to be here, you know?
Yeah. And because like with that too, like with like not us looking like we're meant to be there, Santa Fe has been really something that's been super in tradition where not even their own people look like we're from here.
Totally.
So like definitely like that is a big impact, not only within your guys' church, but within the community.
Yeah.
Because like there's Hispanics, there's Mexicans, there's so much everything. And there's a lot of people that are coming here and we're just like, wait, what are you guys what are you guys doing to our city?
Who are you?
Yeah. And you're like, wait, you're the ones making stuff for the city. But not even our own our own native residents. Like we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
No one's ever lead us to like something new. So definitely I love that the Light Mission Vehicle is adding you guys have so many services that you guys offer through the week.
We're trying,
so that's definitely like just a place where it's like, oh, if I can't find it Sunday, I can find it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the whole week. So like that is definitely how has it. That's really good. But how has it been? Because I saw you guys performed in La Plaza. So I'm like, how was that? Like, because that's Santa Fe. Like you're the center. Yeah.
It gets wild. It really does. Every year there's always people that push back on it, and it's kind of cool because it's like. When we show up, it's like we're not trying to force people into this and take over this. Like it's like we're just here to love on people. I mean, we were passing out like gift bags to like homeless people and food and hygiene products. It's like we're doing good stuff, you know, but it's that Christian label, you know, that people are just like, get out of here, you know. Yeah. So the Plaza events are always fun because there's always people that try to push back on it. But it's just a better opportunity to be like, listen, like we're not against you, you know, we're on your side actually. Like we love you, you know. And so it's been fun. It actually really has been fun. But I think that a big thing that our church wants to do is that we don't want to just be a church that's stuck within our four walls. You know, it's like we need to be people that are loving people outside of our church, you know, loving people when we meet them in the grocery store, you know, at the gas stations and plaza and restaurants. It's like church doesn't do good when you just are a Christian at church. You know, it's like you got to love people outside of it. So even though we get, you know, the backlash and all of this stuff, it's still for me, it's like just another opportunity, you know. Sometimes it doesn't go very well, but it's what you get, you know?
Yeah, I definitely get that part where it's like, oh, hey, what's up? But hey, Jesus loves you. You're like, oh my God. Like, But it's definitely it's definitely where I guess like because I'm so coming from someone like, I'm just like, I always love that because like eventually at one point you were just like, you were not even just one of us, but you were a sheep and you were trying to find that way.
Totally.
So definitely like just saying it's the people who really hurt the religion. And once you start like knowing more, it's like, oh wow, like he was calling me the whole time. He was saying, I'm gonna let you be lost, like until you realize that you weren't lost.
Totally.
And you're coming into this like opening up and speaking about it. Because like now I'm like, oh, I wanna have a moment, like and speak my testimony. But it's definitely it takes for you to open up.
Exactly. You know, and I think that something that's just important is the conversations that I have with people constantly is that it wasn't God that let you down. It wasn't Jesus. It was people. People let you down. And like like I mentioned before, you know, Christians are probably like the worst part of Christianity, you know, where it's like that we give God such a bad name sometimes. And it's just like you got people that are like doing God's work here, you know, where it's just like, that's so good. But you have some people where you're just like, bro, that's not how Jesus would have handled that situation. But, you know, something that's beautiful about God is just like the story of the prodigal son, you know, where the kid left, you know, and it's like a symbolism of God. The kid left his dad, went and did whatever he wanted, and the father let him do it. He's like, if you want to go, you can go. And then it says, you know, when the kid ran out of money, out of food, he was just like, man, the servants at my dad's house is better than what I have right now. So he came back, and it says that while he was still far away, the father was looking for him, you know? And it's like, if you don't want God, he'll give you that opportunity of like, go on, you know, you can go make your mistakes. You can do this, but I'll be waiting for you. You know, I'm ready to take you back. And so that's my thing. It's like church hurt and God are two completely different things. Like people will let you down, but God is always there. Just like, come back. Yeah.
And I feel like with like from my own journey too, when stuff would go wrong and you didn't know who to blame, be like, and you already cussed them out, you already did all you're like, fought that person and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, but why did you do that, God? Like, why do you keep doing, like, bad things too? Like, I didn't do nothing. Like, I didn't ask for that. But now I'm like, test me. God's got to come back to you. I don't got to touch you. I'm just going to say, God, forgive them. And that's just really it.
Yep.
And it took me a while for even to say, forgive them. Because as much as they were hurting me, I wanted to be...
you want to retaliate.
I want to retaliate. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna slash my tires. I'm gonna get ghetto.
I know, and that's like the best thing about Jesus. Even when he was hanging on the cross after people just brutalized him. I mean, they talk about it was the most insane death in history. And as he's laying there on the cross, he's just like, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. It's like that's. I don't know any other religion that's like, bro, like, forgive them, even in the midst of your pain, in the midst of like, where he talks about like, if your enemy doesn't have clothes, go give him clothes. If he's hungry, go give him food. It's like, what other religion is telling you to do that to your enemies?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I definitely feel that because like, sometimes like I question even like my own faith where I'm like, why am I so nice? Why am I taking this? And I'm like, this don't feel like Jesus. He also had boundaries. Like,
for sure.
So like, yeah, it's definitely I've had that position where it's just like, okay, like forgive him, but also I'm like, what the hell? Like, why am I taking? Yeah, so it's definitely like, it's definitely someone who has, when they're open, they will hear all the right stuff.
Totally.
And they will hit them like, oh, that moment. This moment when this happened to me, when I want to go do that right now, like you're already I've already had plans before. Like sometimes I was like, nah, I just need my friend. She's gonna show up at 6, and then we're gonna go egg that person's house. Like, and it's just like, oh wait, like thank God it didn't go out the way it did because there was a reason to it.
Totally.
Oh, I just love God. Like, and it's like a lot where it's like, what did God do for me when I didn't feel like I was doing enough? And it was definitely like where I was like, oh, he was working.
Everything.
Yeah. So that's why you're like, yeah, God was working this. I'm like, nah, he's always working. Like he was always working.
Totally.
So what is the most powerful moment you experienced while worshiping? While leading worship?
Man, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, just because I feel like I see things like you see things pretty regular, especially being in like California. It's like that church that I went to is called Bethel, and it was just like the Lord would just move every day that you were there. People were healed, people like stuff that like is just out of this world where you're just like, all right, that can't be real. And then they come back with a doctor's note. They're like, it was real, But I don't know. I think that things that I've seen that are powerful is, let's just use my personal life. I mean, worshiping, and just opening up the altar and being like, guys, the Lord is going to bring your kids home, your prodigals home. And, watching my mom come up to the altar and just weeping, for my sister, whereas like, God, bring her home, whatever it takes, bring her home. And it's like seeing those moments of like watching my mom weeping on the altar to my sister having some crazy, going to prison where you're like, oh God, what are you doing? And then it's like, she's clean, I would say it's moments like that where you see the people that have been so persistent in praying and weeping and coming before the Lord week after week of like, God, move in my life, do this, save this person. Like, and then it happens. And it's like those are moments that are just like, yes, like only God could do it.
Wow. Yeah, because like the one thing that did go like was mentioned on Sunday was like, I know who you're like, you pray for all these people, but like who's praying for you? And like that, oh my gosh, that really broke me more because I was just like, a lot of people standing there like they're kind of alone, regardless that you guys we're putting the seats in there together, but most of those people stand alone. And so like just like that, where it was just like, as much as I'm sitting here alone, someone else is here alone. So I'm just going to constantly just go up to the altar. I'm going to ask for that prayer. I'm going to go up when it's time because end of the day, my family may be praying for me in their ways, but it's not something like I'm seeing. It's like the community does matter.
It does
matter. So you're telling people your dreams and then they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna pray for the success.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna pray for you to like really go forward with that. And then there's some people who are like, nah, it's not. Like, it's whatever. Like, sure, you're gonna get there.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're gonna make a change.
It'll
like,
be okay. You know? No, and I think that that's something that we're trying to get out of, where it's like, so long it's been like I need community, and like, I'll pray for you, and that's it. You never hear from them again, right? And it's like, we want to get into a place where it's like, no, we're walking through life with people, because it does feel like you're alone sometimes. I mean, it feels, there's so many people that are walking in that are just like, I'm so broken right now. And, you know, just being like, I'll pray for you, and then never talk. It doesn't work. You know, like that's not like the Jesus that, you know, went out and hung out with people. And so for us, it's like, we want to be a community where people are just like, man, I was broken and I was going through this, and like they hung out with me. They called me. They, you know, were texting me, giving me encouraging words, you know, just like all of these things. Cause that's what's important, you know, like you need a sense of community of people that like legit care about you.
Because like with the community too, like our community is like Hispanic and English, and the new tourists and stuff like that. I always say terrorists, so tourists. I'm like,
sometimes it feels like that, you know.
But like, how have you guys been like trying to like add Hispanic more, like, because that is a big range
totally
as well.
So what we did is we actually opened a Spanish service, just like, and so what we do is all of us will come together, we'll do worship together, and then our Spanish church will actually break up and go into a completely different room with a Spanish pastor, and they'll do like their whole time, you know. And then so that's something that we just did. It's probably been like seven months, maybe something like that. But then I think that in New Mexico especially, you just don't, like, everybody has some Hispanic in them, you know what I mean? So I think just having community and people that are running, you know, a small group or things like that, it's like you have a little bit of Hispanic, just come into it, you know, bring some whatever it is, you know. So I would say it's mostly that and I think something that's big for us is like, we just want to make it inviting for everybody, you know, no matter who you are, what your ethnicity is, background. I mean, we had this guy that was coming, and this is actually really funny. He was, I think he was from China and didn't speak English at all. And so when he would come and talk to you, he would have like his Google translator out. But he came for months and months of just like listening to the word. He probably didn't even know what we were talking about, but he just like showed up over and over. And so I think that's the culture we're trying to create. It's just like, we don't care. Just come, you know, just show up.
Wow. Yeah, because showing up does make a difference. And to be honest, like, because you guys could plan and be like, all right, this is going to be what we're going to be talking about. This is the study. But then when you're in there, the pastor, the worship, like, they're like, hey, there's someone in here. Where are you? Like, I'm going to speak more on your story and what I'm listening to, like, what. And I'm not really going to say I'm still waiting for that moment, but it's because, like, yesterday I definitely felt like that the enemy has it paralyzed, and it's just like, I was like, all right, maybe he's talking to me, but he's also talking to 5 more in here. So I was just like, okay, but it's definitely the emotion that you feel from those words. Like, okay, why is that hitting me? Why do I feel like I have to like put my hands up and being like, Lord, please, this moment right now, just help me find that peace. Let me, I feel that stuckness. Why did it feel so right, those words that you told me? Because the other times like, I'm like, no, he's just testing me. He's just testing. Yeah, I'm just here. I always say I'm trying. But it's always like, no, sometimes you're really not. Sometimes you think you're doing enough until you really be like, oh, wait, God wants me to speak more. God wants me to show out more. Be seen. Say this. Learn that. Go here. And it's really, it's like, I'm always going to say, it's the journey. It
is. And the Holy Spirit is so like, he'll change everything up if he has to, you know what I mean? And you were talking about that moment of like I'm calling you out right now, where it's just like, all right, God, I'm here. We had this moment in our young adults, and this is one of the moments that I'll always remember. When we first started, we were probably maybe a year into it, and there was this young lady that was coming, and she would bring her mom with her. And so it was like, cool. It was like, her mom's older, but she was 18. And so we just like, cool, we're vibing with it, you know? And so there was this Wednesday, and the worship was just like, it was moving. And So it was that time where it's like you transition out of worship to go into your sermon. And I just felt like the Holy Spirit was just like, nah, don't switch. Don't stop yet. And so we just kept worshiping. I had a whole sermon ready to go and I was just like, no, we're not doing it. And so we kept just worshiping and worshiping and the Lord was moving and we ended up doing communion that night. And so I'm holding it and I'm, just speaking, leading them through communion. And I look at this young lady and she's just weeping. I mean, just the Lord is just like moving on her. And and I still see it so clearly in my mind. 3 days later, she went to a party in Pecos. Whatever happened was walking home and then she got hit by a car and she died.
Oh my God.
And it was like hard for us, as it was like, as a pastor, it was my first like funeral, my first loss of like somebody in my congregation and in my ministry. And it was just like, it was tough. But then when I look back at it, it's like the reason that we kept worshiping was because God was preparing her for that moment, it was like, was preparing her for what's about to happen. And it's like, a lot of times we don't know what that service, like I was supposed to preach some sermon that had nothing to do with what was going on, but the Lord wasn't ready for that. And I truly believe because of that she was ready for it. She was prepared to go. The Lord like set the foundation so that happened. It's a moment like I'll never forget that,
Wow. That makes me like, it's sad.
It is. It's so
crazy
sad.
Though that at the time though, like where you do see people at the time. So I understand a little bit, like he was preparing her, like, and especially just for her, the emotions and to have her mom there and just so much like where her mother saw her, like the worship going through her. It's that, and also like as a mother myself, I'm just like, my poor baby.
It's been such like, and the mom still comes and still hangs out with us sometimes and we're connected. And so it's been a journey and it's been hard, but it's like, and we were just talking about it. Her 6 month just passed of her passing and we were with her mom and we went and took her, her stuff over to where she was hit in her memorial. And it was just talking to her mom was like it was so God, like he laid out everything that, needed to get laid out in that moment. It was beautiful. It really was like the Lord knew what was happening. He prepared us, he prepared them. It was just like that moment. And so it's like when I look at her, it's like, I know that she's with Jesus. Like I saw that moment where like the Lord was just impacting her, so it's hard, but it's beautiful at the same time,
Wow. Because and especially just to come back, like I feel like I've lost pets and I've lost family. Like I've had like loss in my life where I'm just like how dare you God do that? Like it was not their time. And then it took me a lot to be like, it's not me to decide when it's their time, because I didn't feel like I had enough of them. So I definitely do take life where it's like, like constantly being like reminding myself, like tomorrow may be my last day. Yeah. So how can I be love? Or tomorrow could be someone else's last day. How can I just give them love? So totally, that constantly like, why am I so nice? And then it's like, no, you are literally being the love that I want you to be.
It's so important.
As regardless that it hurts you that much to be like, I don't want to be grown right now. I want to be my little younger self. Like,
no, it's so, there was this time I used to work at Capitol Grill as like a server. And this is like way before my ministry days. And there was this old man he was a regular. And he walked in one day and I was looking at him and I felt like the Lord was like, go pray for him. And at that time I was not ready for my faith. I wasn't ready to so I was like, no, dude, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'll do it next time he comes. Yeah. And I talked to my manager. I was like, does he look good to you? And he's like, yeah, that's just how he is. He died the next day. And I just felt this, like, when I heard that he died, I went into work and my manager was like, dude, you know that guy you were talking about? He died. And I was just like, broke down because I was just like, I felt the Lord like, I told you to go and pray for him and something could have happened, and you didn't listen. And for me, it was like that moment I was like, dude, I'll never do that again. Like if he tells me to go, I don't care who they are. I'm going. Like the 6'5", biker guy. I'm like, I might die, but let's go, and it's just that moment of like, really, sometimes it's life and death where it's like, one of the most impactful moments like at our church, and I hate to say this, but it's funerals. When people show up for funerals, they're thinking about life, they're thinking about death, they're thinking about what's going to happen for them, and those are the moments where just this last weekend, like 20 or 30 people gave their lives to Jesus at a funeral where you're just like, it is life and death for people. And I don't want to be that person that misses out on an opportunity because I was too scared to do it. You know, it's like life is too precious.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow, that's crazy. Because I was gonna ask, like, if you ever had those moments that you felt like you were called before, like the ministry or going to school and like all that. So wow, that's really impactful because like even like yesterday's sermon and all that, they were mentioning like about the lady who like asking God to like cleanse her the child's soul and stuff like that, like how she fell immediately, and there was so much where I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many times where like, yeah, like, are you sure?
Yeah,
like I ain't
right
doing
now?
it. Yeah, like I ain't doing it. I'll do it next time. I promise, God. And it's like that moment, like, no, like it was supposed to be that moment for something. It could have changed one little perspective.
Totally.
And it's like also I could imagine like that grief too, like, oh my gosh, God called me to do that. Like I disobeyed him and that could have changed his life.
It hurt. It hurt. I mean, it was such like a moment of like, God, I'm so sorry. And, you know, that's where it's like the fear, like the doubt, the like, Lord, like, what did I do? You know, like it was hard. It was really hard. But yeah, I don't want to be in that place anymore. It's like if the Lord knows people's times, we don't, you know, and so it's like if he's telling you to do it, run, you know, go after it. And that's what I was saying. Like faith is spelt by risk, you know, it's like you got to take risks and do stuff that's going to make you uncomfortable and stuff where you're just like, Lord, I don't know how you're going to work right now, but I'm going to listen to you. Let's do it, you know?
Dang. Has there been like another moment like you were like fearful, but you did do it, but like after was not what you expected?
Yeah, every day. You know, like, every day. I mean, there's so many times where we get up, like I'll get up to preach. And I'm just like, I don't know if I like studied enough. I don't know if my word is put together. Like this one is kind of rough. We're talking it like even right now, we're going through this series of like the fruits of the Spirit. And so, and it's been really good, but we talked about kindness just the other day. And kindness is like one of those words where it's like, it's important and it's going to, you know, it'll change your whole life if you just start being kind to people. But it's not something that like you're going to break down crying and like, you know, we're like the Holy Spirit's just going to overflow. But so we're preaching about kindness. And then all of a sudden the altar call came and these people just like were weeping at the front where I'm like, God, I didn't even think this was that good of a sermon. You know, like I think I messed up so many times and it's like, but there he was, you know, and he shows up. And it's, I think that if you make the effort, no matter what it is, like, you know, I think about even in the Bible, Moses had like a crazy stutter, you know, and the Lord told him to go and speak to Pharaoh, who was like the king of Egypt, you know, and he's like, I can't even speak, you know, like, what am I going to say? And it's like, but God used Moses to save all of the Israelites at that time, you know? And so whatever it is that the Lord is asking you to do, even if it's so far-fetched and you do it, you'll see the rewards from it. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I don't feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah. It's been good.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up about that passage because I feel I've been on this journey for podcasting, like this whole thing for like 5 years now. Yeah. Where I was like, are you sure, God? Like, totally. But it's definitely the speaking. I'm like constantly like, not only am I having to like battle myself and being like, all right, ADHD will have you go from here to here, but that's you. Like learn to come back to it. But it's also like learning to speak it and like understand of like, oh wow, like Monica, like like stuttering or stopping and like, oh wait, I lost my train of thought. Like so it's definitely like I've had to work a process of gaining that confidence. Totally. And who knows when back then when God told me to first open the podcast and speak, I put it out there as confident and I sat there and by myself and I just spoke to a mic and I talked about my dog dying. Like, no one heard my podcast, but it was the practice that I needed, the confidence. And it was definitely like, wow, Monica, like now I'm sitting here with people and you have the confidence to open your mouth and ask questions. And even though that your question might steer a little bit and like you'll stop, but that's all me and I'm working through it. And like I'm working through it. Like if I could inspire someone else to open their own podcast, to share their own testimony, to like their own creative thought that a lot of people get as they don't even think it's from God.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh God, I want to be a millionaire. I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to go through trials and errors and you're going to go through businesses and figure it out as there you go. But it's, okay, I didn't know that's what you wanted from me.
Exactly.
And so like, yeah, doing it immediately and finding out whether it's a trial and errors. Like, okay, well, guess what? A lot of the errors are going to lead to that success.
Totally. We this is trial and error. Mm-hmm. We opened the young adults 4 different times.
Wow.
4 different times. So the first one, it was like, and I felt this like passion, like we got to open up a young adults. There's nothing else for young adults here in Santa Fe. And so we did it. And then it was like, they wanted to do like a basketball night, and so we brought it and totally failed. We did it again where it was like, open it up, but it's just going to be community, no word, no worship. And so failed. Then we did another one where it was like, we're going to meet at people's houses and do small groups, totally failed again. And so it's like, this is the 4th time that we did it. And it's like, I felt the Lord, like, I told you what to do, like, do what I told you to do. And so it's like, now, it's been, when we first started, it was like, there was nights where it would just be like our leaders that was there, because it's hard to grow stuff in Santa Fe. But now it's like, you see where God is just like filling people in, where you're just like, dude, I've never even met these people before, but like, they're here, and so you got to jump on what the Lord is saying. And I'm so thankful that he gave me 4 opportunities to fail, to even get to where we are now. And I know that there's going to be a lot more failures in the process. I mean, that's just how it works, but trusting in him and just doing what he's telling you to do, you'll totally get to that place.
Yeah. I could start talking about my fails, and that's where like that testimony. Yeah. So it's like, I definitely get the putting yourself out there, and you get nothing back. Like not okay, God, was this a good thing or a bad? But it's constantly like, just putting it out there. I've had this mother support group. I don't know how many times, but it's also me learning. I'm like, okay, my marketing strategy is not doing it, but I'm also like, God, like if you want me to do all these things, why are you having me do it by myself?
Yeah, totally.
I'm like, I'm a mom. I got to go to work. I'm trying to figure out not how to pay the bills and all this other stuff. And then here I am still trying to give something to the community when no one's giving me anything. But that's really just like even God himself. Like, I don't even care how many times you felt failed or nobody in this community. You're about to put something out there. And as much times that I should make you show up and you sit there and people are passing like, what the hell is this girl doing? I'm just like, you could come in if you want.
No, totally.
So
we had I preached that for a long time. So when we were first starting, it was like, if one person comes in here, it's a success.
Amen.
If one person gives their life to Jesus, we did it, and it's like, that was a lot of our whole ministry for like the first like 4 months, of like, just one person, God. And it's like, you get that person's like, one more, God. And it's like, all of a sudden he starts moving.
Yeah. And then like that one person goes out and, hey, I had a fun time over here and I love this. And it's just like giving that kindness, being like just the love, definitely. So like, because you do a lot of worship and like a lot of your involvement in the church. How do you make time for like your music? Or like to like practice and stay like up to date with today's generation of music and how to move us. Like,
thank God for Spotify. And I'm like following so many different people. It's like new song this week, new song, and it's tough. I mean, and not just music. Like it's tough to like spend time with my wife. When it's like I got 13 people calling me with a crisis. And so. It is important to set boundaries, It is important to be like, listen, like, I love you, but like, this is why I have leaders too that can help you in this as well. And like, if they can't handle it, I got you. But it's like, sometimes it's like, I need to spend a night with my wife, I need to not go out with everybody tonight. And, and I'm thankful. My wife is very just like, she loves it too. And so it's like, we make a good team, but yeah, I think finding healthy boundaries where it's like, I can't be everything that everybody needs. You know what I mean? I can't.
You're not Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. I can't be, the worship leader that's writing, 30 new songs a year and then at the same time being a pastor that's trying to do all. It's just like, it's not possible, And so I'm thankful that the church that I'm with has given me, an opportunity to be able to figure that out, whatever it looks like on, and give me grace on moments that I'm not doing well. And so it's been good to have a process that's been like try this. If it fails, let's try something else. If that fails, then we'll figure it out, you know? Yeah. And so it's all about boundaries, in my opinion, of like, don't give 100% at this area and then neglect the other one. It's like, you gotta be able to, and I'm still figuring it out, if I'm honest. There's moments where I'm like, dude, I haven't spent real time with the worship team in like a month. And it's like, I need to like, you know, set proper boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely get the boundaries and the routine.
Yeah.
Because like that's one thing as like a like a new Christian, like it's how can I add the Bible in? Because I had so much like just a push towards the Bible. I'm like, felt like when I met a Christian, they were slapping me with it. And I'm like, okay. And then like, I'm reading like these passages and other people are bringing me passages and I'm just like, that's what the Bible says too?
Yeah,
I was like, damn, they were definitely not, the people who were throwing that on me, they were not reading the other passages that I feel like some other people needed, but they were like, but it's definitely like the routine where I'm like, okay, I would like to get to know the Bible, but not just to study and know it, but so that I could be able to speak that word. Like, just like, I love giving motivational quotes. Yeah. And I'm like, I love to like, when the Bible hits me and I'm like, oh, that came from the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
that happens to me still, or I'm like, that's from the Bible. Like, that's good.
You're like, okay, what page again? Like, I'll go back. Are you sure? I'm like, oh yeah, I did say that.
All the time.
So what advice would you give to young musicians who want to use their talents in ministry?
Totally. The first thing that I would say is practice. Practice. I mean, something that we've been trying to go after is just excellence. Like excellence in that, like, you need to know your skills. You need to know your instrument. You need to know all of this stuff that you're doing before you come here, you know? And so there, you know, even for like, and there's people that have been on the team where it's like, they're not there yet, but we're giving them space to kind of learn with us. And so that's good. But if you're not taking the time to practice outside of church, then you're not going to develop and you're not going to grow. You know, for like a boundary that we have for our church is like, if you show up to practice and you're not prepared, you're probably not going to play, you know, or like there's an expectation of like, you need to know your parts before we get here. Not when we all come together and like, it's like, you need to know it beforehand and then show up and then we all collab together. And it's taken trial and error. There was times where it's like, we would have like 3 or 4 hour practices. We're just like, we're awful, you know? And it's like, now it's like, all right, my drummer's going to show up and he knows his parts. My keyboardist knows her parts. My bassist, all of us know like, you know, the lyrics to the songs and what we're doing. And so it's taken time and there's still, you know, there's expectations that sometimes aren't met even from me, you know, and it's like, but knowing your part and like being comfortable in what you're playing and practicing at home are some of like the biggest things that, you know, it'll take you even beyond what you thought you could be.
I definitely like that. Like, I like that because about the excellence and definitely you having to put it outside of just the church. Yeah. Because as we see just the church and like the way like playing and just preaching, it is really like the practice. Like you need to put in practice way before because you don't just have God in church. Like, and especially if you want to be someone of example, as being on the worship, because you're not only representing God, you're representing the church. We're representing what they value and also who they're trying to speak to. Yeah. And if the message gets lost in between, that is definitely something where you have to look into like, okay, well, where is my team not meeting themselves? Exactly. And it's just, and
it's important too, because there is a place where it's like for our congregation, we want anybody to show up, you know, it's like, if you're in the church, just, I don't care if you even believe in Jesus or not, like show up, you know, and like, I believe that the Lord will impact you. But for people that have influence over the church, that's on the worship team, that's speaking, it's like, you need to live to a different standard, you know, you need to be an example. You need like, you know, you can't be doing all of the things that everybody else is doing and then trying to be like, Jesus is so good and like, follow me because it's something different. It's like, well, what's different, you know? So I think that's like, there is a straight line between people that are influencers in the church versus people that just show up, you know? Everybody's welcome, but to be an influencer, it's like, that's where the Lord needs to start. Like, like where you got to start changing habits and start working on things that you've been slacking on. And so it's a fine line, you know. And granted, it's a process still. I mean, there's a lot of grace where it's like, all right, we're working through that. You know, that's something like it's something that's going to change, but like there's a little bit of grace for right now, you know, but eventually that's the process that you got to go to.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like one thing, like, I guess, because we were making, like, saying, like, versus the Kanye versus the Jelly Roll. Like, okay, how come Kanye's only holy on Sunday?
Dude, Kanye's been wild recently.
Yeah. And it's constantly like, oh, well, God, Jesus. So, like, one thing, like, I realized, like, as kind of, like, it being, like, my journey is, like, trying to differentiate from people who are trying to market Jesus versus who are living the life of Jesus.
Totally.
And that's one process where I was like, it's, like, again, like, those Christians, like, you have to really see, like, regardless of the good or the bad of how they preach it or how they present the message, is how are they living the lifestyle.
Exactly.
And, like, that's where you really know, because at the end of the day, that's where they fear more too.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of meeting God. I'm not afraid of what God's going to tell me in church.
Yeah.
I'm afraid how he's going to treat me outside because I'm like, whoa, like I just go to church to be like, okay, God, I met you here. This is like the community I needed, because sometimes I walk out and I'm around people who don't believe in you. And now I come in here and I'm like, oh, all right. Like regardless of how our belief is, and we all believe that there is a Jesus, like it's definitely like, how are we gonna leave? How we walk out that door, who are we at the end of the day?
Totally. And it's so important, you know, and it's kind of like the prodigal son story that we were talking about, where it's like you can make mistakes and be accepted with God, and you know he can do all this stuff, but there does come a time where God is like, all right, get it together. You know what I mean? Like I give you grace and I love you, and I'm going to love you through this process. But even Jesus did it with the disciples where I forgot exactly what the passage is, but it's basically Jesus gets to a place where he's like, are you going to wake up? You know, like, do I have to babysit you forever, or are you going to step up? You know? And so there is a place where it's like everybody is, he says, come, all of you come to me who are weak and, and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. It's like, he wants everything, but there is some change. When you experience Jesus, like your life will start to reflect it. You know, you can't stay in where you've been for so long and then still be like, you know, it's Jesus will start to change your life, and it's beautiful. And it takes a process. And that's the thing. I think Christians are like, you need to be at 100% right now. It's like, no, like, dude, I'm at 5% right now. Like, give me some space and some time. And that's okay. But there does come a time where there's like, Jesus has very straight rules in the Bible where it's like, you got to follow this, you know, and I'll give you, you know, grace in this process and trying to walk you through it. But there is a standards to Christians, you know, and I think that's the problem with a lot of Christianity, is that it's people that love Jesus because Jesus is so good, but doesn't want to follow his word, you know, that doesn't want to listen to what he says, that doesn't want to obey in the stuff that they're doing, you know what I mean? And that was my process for a long time, where it's like, what do you like? God, why do I have to stop this? Why am I not allowed to do this? And it's like, it takes a process, but he will ask you to do it eventually, you know?
Yeah.
But there's grace in the meantime.
Yeah. And so besides the Bible, what is like a book that has had like an impact on your life?
Yeah. God's Generals.
Generals?
It's so good. It just talks about people throughout history that have made a big impact on society through Jesus. And so it's honestly, it's kind of a hard read sometimes, but it has stories of just people that brought like revival, like the Welsh revival, or people, there was Azusa Street in California, and it goes through their whole stories of like where they messed up and where they did really good and what God was doing. And it's pretty incredible. Like I love history and seeing, you know, that God didn't just work in my generations, like the past generations, he was doing some awesome stuff too. So I'd say that one for sure. That Keeping Your Love On is a good one. Man, I have a whole collection in my office. It's important.
Yeah, because like a lot of things that first it was like I told you spirituality, and then like motivation, philosophy, like all of that. And then I used to like read like Albert Einstein, and I was like, I used to be a big science girl. Like that's what I was
cool.
known. And then I was just like, oh, like a lot of these people just believe in like the physicals and the science.
Yeah.
But then a little bit more came up, or like, oh, while they believe in one, but do they live by it? Totally. Like they just believe in it and like their own philosophy, and like that was really got me closer. I was like, oh my gosh, like these people really believed in a God, and I thought like science or like it has to be physical in order to see, and so like a lot of it has come to like where I'm like, wow, like motivation philosophy, like I'm like, guys, let me just preach you the Bible, because the Bible's saying it the same way, but just in different words. And it's like the independence in a way, like the Declaration of Independence. I'm like, what were they saying? Like,
like, excuse me? No, it totally. And I think that it's important for me is like a mindset that I've had to get into is like the Bible's enough. Like for me, where it's like, if I never had to read another book again, it's like the Bible is enough. And it's like, I could read these other books that are really good, like Keep Your Love On, where it's like, I can implement this and I can use this. But if I could also get all of this from the Bible too, you know? And so it's for me, it's a healthy balance of like, I don't want to rely on other things where it's like that. And I've seen it in a lot of people's lives where it's like, is the Bible enough? Is Jesus enough? It's like, absolutely 100%. And it's like, I can use this stuff for God's goodness and for his grace and all of this stuff. But, you know, the Bible, if I never had to read another book again, the Bible's all I need, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's like where I'm trying to get back in, like I'm trying to get into it. Cause I'm like, all right. Cause like now like reading some passages and I'm like, oh wow, like that's just said differently.
Yeah.
And so like, it's definitely like a big experience, but also a lot of it had to do with, have you seen The Chosen?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of people say like, I have to, but like also being demonstrated. Cause like you were talking about like what you guys will have for kids, but like I also grew up on VeggieTales. They would just throw us in a room, but like, all right. But I don't remember what they said. Like, so I just like remember them balancing like vegetables.
All the songs.
So it's definitely like, okay, definitely like also the visuals of the movies. And it's crazy how God made me so emotional in like the passage and like all these like other movies and shows where I'm like, wow, like the way they not only demonstrate him, but how they represent what he was, who he is. Yeah. And it was nothing about like the Bible, the religion and the Christianity, like, oh, it's this people this. Yeah. It was just constantly like who he was. And like then coming to Christianity, I'm like, oh, that's who they believe in. That's who he is to them.
Totally.
And so it's like the constant reference. But I did want to ask you one of the rapid fire questions from The Chosen, because I saw one of the interviews and I was just like, oh, I'm going to ask you. But if you were to sit down with Jesus, what is one thing you would ask him?
Dang, that's a good one. I think that I would ask, oh man, if I was to sit down with Jesus and like just have that straight up conversation, it would probably be like, why, I would say, why do miracles happen with some people and then not other people's, or in some instances and not others? There's this really, it's a hard story, but it's a beautiful, but this guy, Todd White, he's like this really big pastor. And I was able to see him when I was in California, but he was telling the story of that he runs these big like healing ministries and like this really beautiful stuff. He got a call that this little boy was dying. He went to the house. He prayed with this little boy for a couple hours, and I'm probably botching the story, but the little boy ended up dying in his arms. And so it was just like, God, like, what the heck? The coroner came in to pick up the little boy, and the coroner came in limping. And he was just like, can I pray for you? And he was like, sure. And he just like gave him some weak prayer. The guy was healed instantly. And so he's just like, why was the little boy healed or not healed? And the guy was, I don't know, you know? And so I would probably say that, like, is it us? Is it the culture? I mean, there's a lot of questions. There's so many weird things that like, I don't know. And I don't think that I'll ever know the answers to, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with like the Lord having mystery, you know, if I know everything about God, then he's not God. You know what I mean? It's like
there's a way for him to make him noticeable, but like, this was me.
Yeah.
Don't forget about me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't ever want to get in a place where I'm just like, I know all of the answers, because then it's like, then where's the room for the Holy Spirit, you know? And so it would probably be something like that.
Wow. That's a good one. Yeah. Because that's like, I feel like that's like just the humanness. Because a lot of us are like, why? Like, why is this like, why them? And then like, sometimes they're the ones that probably were throwing you the most negativity. And you're like, but why do you keep blessing them and not me? And it's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, it's just like, just an understanding. Like, that's a good one. Yeah. Because, oh, man.
But I would want to stay in that conversation for a long time. Like, I have so many questions.
I know that. I'm like, okay, all right. Next question. Like I have a whole list, God. Totally. Like the nice list of that. Okay,
I wouldn't be able to stop.
There would be a lot of questions I just asked for like other people. I feel like because like at the end of the day, I did feel lost, and then I tried to realize like in what moment in my life that I had so much faith, and like what was like giving me so much faith. I can remember a lot of lessons, a lot of negativity, but the moment that like really got me to like God was just like I had nothing, no one, and I was like, you know what? Whatever I don't have, God, you can still take more. Go ahead, like, and then from there, it just kept on going, and I was like this faith and just like the forgiveness and the love, like that's what really transformed me, is from being such a negative Nancy all the time and like spitting at people, but like spitting negativity, like go F off, like go do you, and then like, oh, never mind, let me not honk if someone cuts me off, like I hated having someone do it to me, so I was like, that would rage me up, like
I think that people that just follow the Bible, you'll be a better person just if you follow the Bible. I mean, there's a passage that says, he that forgives much loves much, you know? And so for me, when I see these people that are like broken and all of this stuff and like, you know, not living the way that they should, for me, I'm like, yeah, I was there too, you know, like I was right there. And so it's like, I have so much grace for you. I have so much like, let me help you through this because like if he could do it for me, he's going to do it for you so much more, you know? And like, so I really feel like if you just want to be a good person, just read the Bible, honestly, even if you have nothing to do with Jesus. And I don't know. We'll figure that one out. But I think that just people that follow the Bible you just see like a moral change in your life. You know, there's morals in the Bible that make you, you know, like love your enemy. Like if he slaps you, turn the other cheek, you know, if he, you know, there's so many things, feed the homeless, take care of the widows, do all, it's like, none of it's bad, you know, and people can manipulate scripture and stuff and Old Testament, you know, cultural things, but it's like New Testament, Jesus, all of this stuff. If you just follow what he says, even if you don't believe in him, you'll be a better person, genuinely.
Yeah.
And that's something in my life where it's like, I used to be negative and mean and, you know, like so quick to anger and snappy and all this. And it's like, oh, like he had so much patience for me. Like I'll try it for this person, you know?
Yeah, and like and sometimes like because of like watching The Chosen and stuff, like you miss like the little parts where Jesus was young. Yeah. And like you miss the parts where he was learning to be the kindness and the love. Totally. So there's like to me, I like to just fill in the story, like, okay, like if he was able to bring these people who were acting just like me or being just like me, I only understand him because he's not only gone through it, but he saw it. And that's where, from observing and being like, okay, that's not right. Like that, like he saw like being an outsider, you see so much like, okay, what did they get at the end of the day from being rude or nothing? It's just your body just gets like just you'll get a hunchback. You're just a negative person now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's not ever fun.
So like with another one is like, what's a non-musical hobby you love?
Ooh, dang, non-musical hobby. That's so hard. I feel like my life revolves around the church. I feel like I need to ask my wife, what's my non-musical hobby?
He farts.
Probably video games.
Yeah, I can jam on some like 2K. I like 2K, you know, Fortnite if you got it, you know, something. It's that's more stuff of just like decompression, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like let me just like that.
Zone out for a second, you know. So video games is probably a good one.
Nice, because like that's like one thing I wanted to know too, like because as a pastor, like you obviously represent not the church but the lifestyle of Christianity and all that. So it's just constant like, where's your humanness? Like where do you remind yourself you're human and I'm okay to make that mistake. I'm okay to being like that person pissed me off. I'm like
totally. Yeah, I think that no matter who you are, you're dealing with humanism. You know, like we're always going to be dealing with our flesh and dealing with stuff, and so. There's a different standard for pastors where there's a lot more eyes on you, which is tough, you know, where it's like when you make a mistake, everybody's coming after you. And so it's a little difficult, but, you know, I guess the way that I live is like when I am giving people grace because I know that I mess up, then I hope that they'll extend it back to me, you know, is the biggest thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's good to be human too.
Or even like taking accountability, like, okay, guys, like that decision was a bad one. But
Totally.
when I made it, it was from just what I thought was the best for us.
Totally.
So like kind of
Totally.
feeling like, because what I feel like has connected me a lot more to Christians was other Christians telling me that they were in a tough place.
Yeah.
They were this and God saved them and now they're still learning and they're going. And I'm just like, yes, he did it for you. I'm no different than you. Maybe I did less. Maybe I did more. Like he's working his way through you. Yeah.
There was a season in our worship team where I was just very critical on people. Like, you don't know your part. Like, you don't know how to play that, you know? And it was like, I did it out of good intentions of like trying to get people to be better. But then after a while, it's just like, I'm a jerk. And like, so you got to go back like, I'm sorry. Like, I was super short to anger. Like, that's not who I was supposed to be. And I led you wrong in that. And so something that's important, even for pastors, like we still make mistakes and just as much, I mean, it's, we're leading other people. And so it's like our mistakes, they have, you know, an impact on them and they're hard, you know? And so you got to be able to like fess up when you make mistakes, you know, and that's swallow your pride is a big one of just like, guys, I missed the mark on that. You know, I'm sorry. You know?
Yeah. That's opening up like, okay, I saw it. I see it. Let's change.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So like, what has been the best compliment you've received?
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes like compliments are hard in worship because it's like when people give you compliments, for me, it's like my original thing is just like, thank you. Like, but it was for God. It wasn't for you. You know what I mean? And so it's like a lot of times I try not to like live in those because like, number one, I don't want to get egotistical. There's so many areas that I can grow in, so many areas that I need to do better, even in preaching where it's like, there's so many places that I can expand and just do better. And so, yeah, worship is hard because it's like, I don't ever want to take the show, like the spotlight away from God. You know what I mean? It's like, this is his time. And like, I've gotten to a place that's like where when I worship, it's like, I just am doing it for him. Like, I just want to be in the room with him. I want to experience him. And so it's like, people are like, oh, that was so beautiful. It was so good. Like, I loved that. It was like, well, I mean, it wasn't for you, but thank you. You know what I mean? It's tough. It is tough.
Wow.
So I know that's not a good answer, and I know.
I'm like, okay, next. Just kidding.
I know.
No, but I definitely get because I feel like it's a little bit of humbleness.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard.
Yeah, but it's also like you've taken that role in like, I'm the messenger. I'm speaking what it's. If you want to say, "Oh, my thank you," you know what? Go to the altar and tell God, "Thank you." Like, thank you for putting that through Jordan, and like,
totally. And there's a mix where there's like, I've seen this in church culture where there's like this false sense of humility where it's kind of like, oh, it wasn't me, it was God, and it's like, no, like God gave you talent, God made you, you know, he made you to be great. You practice, like there is a sense of you that it's like, you know, like say thank you. It's the easiest thing to say. It's just thank you so much, you know. But for me, it's like I try not to live in those moments of just like they thank you, but like God gets all the glory. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting place.
So the next one is, what is the most adventurous thing you've done?
Adventurous
in your life? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, before saved or after saved? Because
let's do one of each.
Cool. Yeah, before saved. Man, we used to be so rambunctious. I mean, we would go and like, I used to have this old Toyota Tacoma, and like we would ditch school. We would load all of our friends into this small little truck, and we would go and jump it, or we would like. We would take it to like Diablo Canyon, and we would just go and like camp out for a couple days. And so like that was like always good stuff. Always getting in trouble. Always, you know, running from security guards. We broke into like a hotel one night, and because my friend got fired, and he was like I still have the key card, you know, to the alcohol room. And so we're like, let's go. And like getting chased by security out of the room. And like, we were up to no good. Since being saved, thank you, Jesus. Since being saved, I mean, the most adventurous, I mean, I was a part of, it was called Azusa Street Revival, there was this old revival that happened in California. But it was, I forgot, like 100-year anniversary or something like that. And so we went and they packed out a football arena with like just worship, and like there was healings and crazy stuff. Like the Lord was moving incredibles. I like with my own eyes saw people that rolled in with wheelchairs and they were carrying their wheelchairs out. Like it was some of the wildest stuff that I've ever seen in my life. So I'd probably say something like that was pretty intense.
Oh, and I always wanted to experience like just like in a room of just where like miracles are being done, or even like a concert where it's just like a strong energy of God. And
totally.
Because you mentioned a lot in church, it's like, well, there's one or two gathered, there's God present. So like, I could only imagine 100 of people, like and it's definitely like how much connection that you all are in there for that reason, and what brought you there to that moment. And it's there's so much for me to learn and for me to see.
Me too.
So,
I'm still learning.
But like it's definitely I'm just so grateful that there's more of it now. Yeah. There's more of it, and like more of it for you guys to like just to even create, to put out there. Totally. And regardless if you guys see it as a fail, it's just a constant it's just being put out there because it's not out there yet. Especially for in this community.
I heard something that was like, I would rather jump into a pool thinking that it's God, finding out that it's not, and then getting out, than to not jump into a pool and God was in there the whole time. You know, it's like, so we're gonna make mistakes, and we're probably, you know, like things are gonna happen, but it's like, if we're going after God, you know, and so if we make a mistake, it's like, all right, let's get out, dry ourselves off, let's try it again. Let's do something else, you know. Yeah. But there already, I mean, even in our young adults, there's already been incredible miracles that have happened. And there's, we have a couple that go, and their daughter, her appendix bursted. Wow. And she's 5 years old. Like she shouldn't be going through that. And so they rushed her to the hospital. They sent her to Albuquerque. She was in there, and we just like started praying. We started going after it. They took x-rays, saw all the issues. They put her in anesthesia, rolled her out into the room, took another x-ray, and they were like, it's not bursted. Like, actually, she doesn't need this anymore. And then they rolled her back out to her parents. I mean, we're seeing crazy stuff. I think it's just like, show up, you know, come experience it. It's like that.
Yeah, showing up. Because like you could tell someone like, I'm open to it because I'm like, okay, like, like, oh, that's so amazing. Yeah. But then there could be someone like, like, no, of course, I went to this, I had to go through the whole surgery, and it's just like, but man, like, were you even open to God at that moment? You didn't even know about God at that moment. Like, that could have been you. It could have been the prayer and all that. But my last question for you is, what's a cause that's important to you?
Honestly, the cause for me is our generation and the younger generation. Just we've been fed up with it, honestly. And I think that our generation is the generation that's just been like, we've seen the fake Christians. We've seen the people that express that they are from God and then they'll slap you in the face with the Bible. You know, we've seen like even for me, I've had pastors in Santa Fe like block me on Facebook and like stuff like, because they're just like, bro, like, and this before I was saved, but it's just like, there's the older generation just hasn't done a good job of reaching my generation. You know, it's like it's like we almost feel like outcasts, you know, we're going to their church and we've been to their services and the way that they do stuff. And so something that I'm passionate is like, creating an environment for young people to feel accepted, to feel like a place that's theirs, you know, to have identity in a ministry and stuff like that. And so like my heart is just, you know, one of these days, the old generation is going to pass away and it's going to be sad. And it's this, but if we're not preparing the younger generation to start taking the mantle and start moving up, it's like, we're going to have a generation that just doesn't know what to do, you know? And so my like calling and what I feel is like, start equipping people to start running this race, you know, and like for our generation to like stop living in the past and stop living in like in other people's shadows, but actually like Generation Z has a lot to offer. And so creating a space where they can move in that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cause like the community, like just how, I definitely believe in like the failing and all that. So if a youth today, if someone were to walk into your church, what is something that they could do to kind of actually put themselves in that position to lead, or how they could find themselves like in that position to like open up
For sure. Yeah, I think the main thing is just if they show up, you know, they start community right away. There's people, and this is even a beautiful thing. I think that the amount that you put in is the amount that you're going to receive out of it, you know? And so there's this guy, his name is Josiah. He's this new guy that's been coming, and it's just like, he wasn't very serious about the Lord. He started showing up, and he was one of those guys of like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. And it's like he just started showing up and being a part of it and hanging out with us at our house and going, you know, doing all these things. And it's like he's getting baptized on Wednesday, you know, and he's been added to, we call them the culture setters. And so it's like a little bit of like identity and ministry, you know, and all this stuff. And so it's like just show up and be present. And like I said, the more that you put in, the more that you're going to receive. There is, you know, a process where it's like for new people that show up, it's like you're not just going to be given like authority, you know, the first night you show up, but it's like if you invest in this and invest in people and let us invest in you, then it's like sky's the limit. You know, we have young adults that are like we had on Sunday, you know, people that are under 25 that are speaking on our church services on Sunday morning. And it's just like, because they're invested, you know, because they're like, this is my place. And so it's totally easy to get on board. Honestly, it's just, you got to show up. That's all it is.
And I like that because you do need to see that whole representation up there speaking.
Totally.
Because even you never know if like that youth 26-year-old is speaking to that 45-year-old mother, and she's representing her daughter, she's representing her son, and there's like this constant like the connection. So it's definitely like also having like the older folks kind of being open, because like a lot of people don't want to learn from someone who's younger because they're like, what do you mean? What do you
like,
mean you know?
What do you know?
So I've had that. I've definitely had that struggle where it's like, hey guys, like, do you know like your routine and habits really impact you? And they're like, sure, you know me. And I'm like, you know, you like snoozing your alarm and like all that is because like of how you're going to sleep. And it's just like you avoiding that. So you're avoiding something. But like, what is there to come for the Light Mission Viejo and the young adults? And what could we expect to like more services, or how could young adults be involved?
So young adults, 18 to 35, we meet every Wednesday at 6:30. Okay. And so on those nights, we do worship, we do a word, we have community time. It's just like, it's all serious and it's good. And like the Lord is moving in it. Then on Friday nights at 6:30, we just have community night where it's like basketball, volleyball, video games, like just come and hang out. You know, we're not going to preach at you. If you're like worried about, you know, like, I don't want to just get like stuck in some church and they start preaching at me. It's like, no, just show up. Like, I promise we won't do that to you. Those are the two main things, but we're about to open up a whole new chapter where it's like, we're going to start outreaching. We're going to start doing church outside of our church, you know, and we're going to start meeting people, doing vision nights. Like there's a lot that's coming. And so it's still in the process, but right now it's Wednesday nights at 6:30 and then it's Friday nights at 6:30.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I'm like, that's like one thing I'm definitely going to be there. Especially with church and all that this whole week. One thing God was calling me to do was quit my job. I've been avoiding the 2-week notice, and I'm like, ask for a sign. Ask for like that. And so like today before like kind of before like sitting out there, I was writing my resignation letter. Wow. And so I was like, all right, God, like I'm gonna fall. You let that net appear and we'll see. But definitely where I was like, I'm at work and I'm like, okay, God, like I'm thinking about my business. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about all the things you want me to do. But I'm here at work and I'm mad and I'm like, beep, beep, beep. And I'm just like, I'm so ready to like the community, putting it out there. So it's also having those people to share it, because a lot of it, you could put the message out and then it could just stop right there.
Totally.
And they're like, no, like put it out there, like get that share that post, share like, so it's like a whole demographics that need it but don't know that's there.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing. It's like you just got to get the name out.
Yeah, you know? And that outreach. So I can't wait to hear more and see more about outreach and like definitely see it. But I definitely thank you and I appreciate you, Jordan, for coming in and speaking the word and just leading an example of like even your own life and sitting down with me, because at the end of the day, like I felt really a part of like distance from it. And so not only do I want my audience and my artists, the people who sit on the same seat as you, is to see what I see, and it's God. Like we're looking at one and each other, and it's God. It's God working His way, regardless if you're stuck, my audience is, my guest is smoking or whatever, and I'm doing the same or whatever the case may be. But like, but we're both trying to get there to where it's not a believing, it's a knowing.
Yeah.
And that's But thank you, Jordan.
Of course, thanks for having me. I loved it.
Of course,
great.
I'm like, you don't have to say that, but just
no, it was awesome.
Just kidding. No, I feel the energy, but I thank you, and thank you for your wife too. Like, it's so nice seeing like a young couple too in church, and leading by that example. Sometimes like I understand like it's feels like a lot, because you're like, where can I make that room from a mistake? Where can I like lead and be that human? But but thank you guys, and it's
thank you.
That's so like it. Guys, thanks. Thank you. And then you can catch Jordan on his show notes. I'll be posting where you can go and visit the Light Mission Viejo, but also where you could find Jordan if you would like any more congregations or worships of sermons of him. But thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.